Hey there Cosmic Warriors, and welcome back to another video. Alright, so I am here today with the 6 things that the Saturn in Scorpio / Saturn in the 8th house individual wishes they knew at the age of 20. Now, the whole premises of this is that we are looking at the Saturn return, okay? So the Saturn return occurs every 28 to 30 years. So this is really all about this 30-year-old individual looking back on their 20s and going over what they have learned, how they have matured, and really what lessons have been brought to their attention as they have grown older, okay? Now, also I would like to highlight that this video may just resonate for you if you happen to have Saturn conjunct Pluto within your natal birth chart, as well as Pluto within your 10th house to an extent. Now, with that being said, before we do get started, if you would like to know more information all about your Saturn sign, your Saturn house, along with your Capricorn house and your 10th house within your natal birth chart, then I have created a Capricorn season / archetype ebook. So if you would like to purchase that ebook, then I will provide a link to it in the description box below so that you can pick up your copy today if you would like. Right, so with all those introductions out of the way, Saturn in Scorpio / Saturn in the 8th house, let's do this. Hi, my name is Scorpio. I am 30 years old, and here are the 6 things that I wish I knew at 20. So the first thing that I wish I knew at 20 is that being vulnerable is not a sign of weakness, but it actually requires a great deal of strength and power. And also, it's essentially a calling for me to evolve and to rise higher. Growing up, I used to really hide a lot of myself, parts of myself that I kept a secret, especially when it came to my emotions. I tended to repress my emotions. I tended to see that, or rather think that by showing emotion that it would be a way of being left quite open, where other people could attack me or use my emotions against me. I did experience this quite a bit whenever I was younger. I recognized that emotions could be used as a form of emotional manipulation, and they could be used as a way to gain power over me. And so I guess in a way, I learned how to not show much emotion as a way to keep myself safe, as a way to protect myself. But over the years, I learned that by repressing my emotions, by stuffing them down, they ended up biting me in the ass later on in my life. Some events happened, deaths, grieving processes that I had to go through. Wasn't easy. It was not easy. But as I have grown over the years, I recognize that actually there's a lot of power to be found in allowing myself to feel and allowing myself to be open and to be vulnerable. I suppose you could say that I've learned that I recognize how much I was keeping myself back, and that if anybody was to turn around and use my emotions against me, well then I also have the strength and power to push back and to assert myself and to be direct with other people, to show a level of discipline and authority. Then again, I guess you could say I've also learned how to discipline my emotions in a much more effective, constructive, structured way. In a way where I can identify how I am using my emotions effectively, efficiently. So being able to maneuver them in a way where it overall benefits me in the long run as well. Over the years, I have certainly established really deep, meaningful bonds with other people. I've been able to open up more. I've been able to be much more mature in my dealings with other people overall. The second thing that I wish I knew at 20 is how to stop projecting my past traumas onto others. This for me was quite a big one because I had the tendency of obsessing over other people's intentions. I was highly suspicious of other people due to lack of trust, which I gotta give myself credit. There were some people in my life who definitely betrayed me, who let me down. So that was a bit of a blow to my ego, I guess you could say. And so I brought a lot of these trust issues with me wherever I went. It was just this weight. Felt like a burden, really. So every time I would enter into other relationships, it was always there, lurking in the background. And so I had my walls up. I was pretty guarded, and who could blame me? Who could blame me? I think that's completely normal to think that the next person that we're with in life will do the same that the other person did because of that emotional repetition or just because of scarcity. So I was suspicious. I was a suspicious individual, though still I did used to think that others were always trying to dominate me, have power over me, one-up me, control me. Again, these themes existed whenever I was younger, so during childhood I noticed these themes, which were pretty traumatic in my own opinion, through my own experience. And so I guess you could say I would enter into relationships just with this unconscious thought that someone else would be always trying to pull the wool over my eyes, or they would always be hiding something, keeping secrets from me. Like, I just didn't get it. There would always be something that would happen that would pull the rug from under me and I would fall flat on my face. That's hard to work through. Yeah, it can be so difficult to not project our past experiences or traumas onto other people. And I can't deny that I'm still working on this. It's something that I'm still trying to learn and grow through. But I just wish my 20-year-old self had have recognized it back then, because back then I really was in the dark. I didn't know a lot about anything. Being 20 years old, of course, you don't. Even being 30 years old, I'm like, hello, into my 30s, my 40s, my 50s. I don't know what the future's gonna bring. But I just wish my 20-year-old self just knew how to trust a little bit more. So for me, I guess you could say that a lot of this process has involved me facing the truth. Facing my past traumas head on. Taking charge. Being in control. Taking an initiative, you know, and really having the guts to overcome these really challenging times in my life, these traumatic experiences in my life, and mature a great deal through them. The third thing I wish I knew at 20 is that you have what it takes to pull away or walk away from toxic, destructive relationships. Again, pretty big one for me. See, I had this tendency to attract control freaks, manipulators, sometimes narcissists, and I just couldn't understand why. Why me? Why do I keep attracting these people into my life? Why is it that the next person just wants to control and dominate me, and why is it that I'm constantly being manipulated emotionally? Why is this? So, over the years, you know, this is big. This is a really big thing, because it's such a deep thing within me that I had to take control of. But again, I'm still learning from these things. But yeah, I ultimately had to establish boundaries, whereby which I would recognize when to walk away. When to walk away from people who I knew intuitively, emotionally, physically, everything in my body was just screaming at me, leave, Scorpio, walk away. But no, back then, in my younger years, around my 20s, I remember falling victim to abuse. Yeah, it just seemed to follow me, and so partners I was with just bled me dry, bled me out from all of my resources, drained me emotionally, physically, psychologically, sexually, financially, mentally. So I had to really come to terms with myself by identifying the time to say no, the time to take control, the time to stand up for myself. I had to be brutally honest by seeing the truth. So over the years, I carried around with me a lot of feelings of inadequacy surrounding intimacy because of past experiences, kind of going back to the second example that I said. So I struggled to let people in, kind of going back to the first example that I said in terms of vulnerability and opening up and everything else. So you can kind of see why in my situation I really struggled to let my guard down. But alas, I am 30 years old, and I would say that I've come a long way. I would say that over the years, I've been able to identify these themes and these patterns and put an end to this real vicious, toxic cycle that I was a part of for a while. And so now, I would say that I feel so much more in control of my life by refusing to let people into it that don't respect me. And this kind of leads on to the fourth thing that I wish I knew at 20, and that is, well, please, Scorpio, respect those harder to reach emotions. Even if they feel like they're trapped or blocked within you, please just at least respect them. I found it really difficult to let out certain emotions, especially when it came to loss, endings, deaths. I just struggled a lot. I remember when I was younger, a really close family friend died, and it hurt my family deeply. It was one of my father's closest friends, and I knew that my father was strongly impacted by this death, and so was I. But I guess I sort of put my own emotions to the side to sort of be there for everybody else, and I felt like I had to keep it all together. I had to be in control. But little did I know that I was actually really hurting on the inside, and I was struggling to cope. From a very young age, I had to learn how to be in control, how to really stay in control during times of urgency. And I would say that that came with a lot of emotional resilience, but when I really reflect on that time of my life, I think, well, at what cost? Yes, I can see the strengths. I can see that I am a very emotionally resilient individual, and I am the person that you should come to if you ever are in need of emotional support, and I will be that person to keep it together for my family, for my loved ones. If there is a death, if there is a really difficult situation that is not within our control, I'll be that person to hold it together. But I also wish that my 20-year-old self knew how to validate how I was also being emotionally impacted as well. The fifth thing I wish I knew at 20 is, well, if you seek to have a long-lasting sexual bond with your partner, it's going to require time and effort. And it's gonna involve more than just the physical or the sexual components. So for me growing up, I guess because I was so emotionally guarded, there was a part of me that maybe paid more attention on the whole physical sexual side when it came to a sexual bond with somebody else. I remember being with a couple of people in my 20s where it was me just being emotionally unavailable, and I was just in it for that desire, for that pleasure, which, you know, it's not that there's anything wrong with that, but I can't help but feel like that mentality, that way of seeing things, it kind of led into me being a little bit impatient with the whole process of really getting to know someone and being emotionally available with somebody and exploring them sexually, and also just having that real bond that does require give and take, and it requires sacrifice and work, effort, patience. If it didn't give me instant gratification, sometimes I had the tendency of just wanting to deny it. But over the years, I've really had to learn how to build on that. As I have matured, as I've grown into being an adult, I do recognize that this sexual bond goes so much more deeper. And so today, I am with someone and there is that real deep bond that goes into so many levels. Like, it is definitely inclusive of many things. And the sixth and final thing that I wish I knew at 20 is how to take the bull by the horns when it comes to taxes, insurance, loans, bills, shared resources, and finances with my partner. All of this to me seemed super overwhelming. I was completely daunted by it all. I mean, it was enough for me to think about, of course, my own individual needs, my own finances, and how all of that functions, and sort of trying to get myself into an emotionally supportive space surrounding finances and things. But doing it alongside another person and having to negotiate and having to take charge and really pay attention to how realistically we can align things and how we can be practical together, all of that was such a struggle at the beginning. We made a few errors and mistakes here and there, which of course is completely normal. But through this trial and error, I would say that today, me and my partner have certainly come a long way. Now we know how to manage things a lot better, a lot more effectively, efficiently. And if anything, I feel like I've become much more disciplined when it comes to shared resources. Seriously, I used to secretly hope that my partner would just take control of it all and I just didn't have to do anything. But yeah, eventually I had to come to terms with being an authority when it comes to these things as well. Okay, Cosmic Warriors, so that concludes my video on the 6 things that the Saturn in Scorpio / Saturn in the 8th house individual wishes they knew at the age of 20. Now, if you do happen to have any of these placements, and also if you have Saturn conjunct Pluto and Pluto in your 10th house, then let us know what you thought of the video in the comment section down below. But with all that being said, thank you so much for watching, thank you for subscribing, and of course if you would like to see more videos from myself and you have not yet subscribed, then go right ahead and click that subscribe button. And I will be back with another video very soon. Bye!